Hey, welcome back everybody. Today we're talking about the Tugboat Quick Start Guide, how to find it, how to avoid bugs and glitches happening right now in the testing branch or PTB for Rust Console Edition for the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, next generations, and everything in between. Okay, so this guide is mostly going to be for the testing branch because there are a few hiccups. I'm sure they'll be ironed out by the time this is out. The scheduled release for this, and it could change, is going to be at the end of June or June 27th, 2024 for main branch, also known as normal Rust. So yes, if you're trying to find this and you can't, please make sure that you're playing on testing branch or staging branch. It is a separate download. It is a separate launch completely. So please keep that in mind. Okay, so to find tugboats and some basic strategies for these bad boys, because a lot of people are like, hey, where do we find these? How many are on the map? What's going on? And there are some major glitches that are going to stop you from actually rating this as it stands now, and hopefully these things are patched out. Okay, so first and foremost, there are only 4 of these bad boys on the map at one time. Yeah, so that's crazy. And it does have a spawn point at the harbor. You can't buy these, so you either have to sink them, find them, or wait for the respawns. So each harbor has 2 spawn points. I think I've got the little piece here. There we go. Large harbor there, you can see in the green highlighted areas. Those are the spots where the tugboat can spawn. And don't get them confused with the prefab tugboats that are sitting inside of there, because they do look an awful lot alike. One way to help you kind of distinguish between the two, if you look at the door frames here, if they're completely white and like oval-ish, those are the prefabs. If you see building doors like this, you know it's one you can actually take or throw doors on top of. So always just kind of check those spawn points. It's really going to be a thing where you like keep double taking, get used to it, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, there's a tugboat. So there's large harbor, 2 spawn points there. Here is the small harbor, again, 2 spawn points there in the green highlighted areas. Also, please note that once these things do get sunk, they have to be completely removed from the board before they respawn. So if the boat's completely destroyed, they respawn instantly. In most cases, when they do get sunk, you have to wait for them to despawn, because there is like a period there where you can go back and actually retrieve your loot and stuff. Okay, so let's move on to some general tactics and whatnot. Let me go back over here. Okay, so once you do find these bad boys, you're going to have to authorize before you can place anything down like doors, and it's very important. I would say the most important area to secure first is going to be the captain's quarters here. Captain's quarters, the bridge. So once you're in here, you just kind of mount the console, hold the action wheel there, and you can see you have some TC options. There you say authorize, and then that way you can actually start to place doors, code locks, wooden locks, armored doors, whatever. You definitely want to secure this area first, because it's essentially your TC room, because if somebody gets in here, they can wreak havoc with everything else. So even if you only have enough materials for 2 doors, secure the cabin first, then work your way downstairs. Once you're downstairs, you can place a door here if you have enough materials. Let me stand back in the corner so I don't get stuck and we're not on take 52. Once you're over here, you can place down your sleeping bags and you're authorized. If you have enough materials, you can place a door here, so then people don't have a chance to go rush your loot. As you can see what we did here, we have an airlock system, which is a little buggy right now. If I stand here and open the door, I get thrown into the locker and I have to despawn. But it's a nice way to kind of stop people from rushing your doorway. We've got a, what is this, a research table here, and a locker, and a level 2 workbench, which is really nice, because this isn't going to stop everything, but it should be enough. Like, let's say you get clapped on the boat, you can come back here, respawn, grab a kit, and then start to push outside. Let me make sure I don't get stuck here one more time. All right, there we, oh, that was scary. I almost got stuck. Woo, it was almost take 80 right there. Okay, so I just scrambled my brains big time. Okay, so once you have this out here, you can place some deployables in some places. You can see back here we have 2 jersey walls. I would recommend sticking these here almost immediately, because it's going to stop people from shooting torpedoes directly into your doorway. Speaking of, when this boat does get sunk, it will stay on the ocean floor for 1 to 2 hours, which means you can then raid it, or if you own the door, you can go back in this doorway and then retrieve your loot with the scuba equipment. As it stands now, there is a bug, a major bug, for this, where if you place satchels on here or C4, it looks like it attaches and explodes, but it does no damage. That's not the way it's supposed to be. So just know you're either going to have to eco-raid this with like hammers or something, or you're going to have to shoot it with explo rounds, or tag it with a rocket. Here's the kicker though. If this bug is still on while you're playing, When the boat is sunk, the only way you can actually raid the door then is, well, I guess you could do it with a hammer, but that's a little nuts, is really a rocket. Because rockets can be shot underwater, but obviously guns cannot, so it takes X-blow rounds off the table. So keep that in mind. I know that's going to change in the future, but it's just kind of like a weird quirk that we're dealing with right now. Okay, so you can see we have other deployables here as well. We've got some refrigerators here to kind of block some of the walkways. We've also done some crazy stuff up in the front with some of the ladders to deny people from walking through there quickly or even at all. So we're really kind of controlling where people can go on the boat. See, if I go up here, you have a very hard time going left. It slows you way down. It could be the difference between you getting back to the cabin to close the door, or you respawning and then taking out the interlopers on your ship. Okay, so to sink this bad boy, there are submarines and torpedoes. Torpedoes are extremely far down the tech tree. So really, technically we're supposed to be able to buy these at the fishing village, but that's not available. So if you see where these torpedoes are at, even if you have a lot of this tech tree, it's going to cost you a pretty penny to get all the way down here. So I would suggest getting somebody on your team that has torpedoes, because that's going to be the best way to take out a tugboat for sure. So once you have them, obviously you need a submarine to execute the torpedo. It does take 12 torpedoes, direct hit on the boat itself. One technique I would recommend if you're going to be shooting a boat is if you're familiar with the submarine, you want to make sure that you're actually pushing to the surface of the water as much as possible, because if you're even submerged a little bit, because the canister's on the bottom, there's a high probability, if you're not totally pushing to the top of the water, you're going to miss the torpedo. It's going to go under the boat. So you want to make sure it's hitting it directly. Once you see smoke coming out the stack here, you're pretty close to sinking it. And it is 12 torpedoes in total. But if you wait too long, or they serpentine you just enough, they can start to repair the boat itself. It's metal fragments and wood. Surprise, surprise. So a lot of times the captain having a hammer, a little bit of metal fragments and wood is good. If you actually kick up the boat here, you can see we do have sonar. If you dismount, it will run for a period of time and using a lot less low grade, but more importantly, your sonar is active here. So if a submarine's creeping up on you, you'll know about it. So it's kind of a nice way to like serpentine and avoid the submarines as you're going. And then let me see if we can show you this here. One great feature, which I'm sure you've noticed, once you're driving the boat and you have it push forward for a period of time, just like the auto run we have on the ground, once you're pushed forward, the boat will continue for a period of time, which is actually very handy for things like boarding cargo ship, attacking other boats, shooting back at other interlopers. Like you can see right here, I'm able to shoot back and still like move forward. So it's very, very nice. You know, if somebody boards, you can take them out. After a period of time, the boat starts to turn for a little bit. I just want to make sure I'm not going off the map, because we're going to hit the out of bounds. All right, speaking of, on this map size, 3.5, the maximum distance you can go on the empty squares is 17.5, and then it will automatically destroy you and the ship. So I would say stay away. If you're at grid 17, don't go any further, because even if you drag your tail end in a little bit, you're toast. So don't do it. So that's how far out you can go on either side. And there is really no indicator. There's no visual anything. It's just instant. Like, you just lose whatever you have. So thank you, Odin, for sacrificing your boat and your low grade and your body to science. He's the one that went out and was like, hey, I'm pretty good, and then just like got smoked out there, which was pretty funny. The boats will decay over time. You have to touch the wheel to reset the timer, and I think it's 36 hours total before they despawn. But here on PTB, they kind of are taking decay damage right away, which is also not as intended, so obviously that's going to be fixed. So you may have to, after 12 hours or 24, repair some doors unnecessarily at some point, so keep that in mind. Another good reason to keep things like metal and wood on board, so you can cook some of those metal fragments. Also, maybe some torpedoes, in case you want to buy yourself a submarine and go out there and attack. I'd recommend, if you're going to go toe-to-toe with the tugboat, to probably go and buy yourself a solo submarine. They're a bit faster. They don't have as much damage to be taken, but they're a little more agile for the for what you're trying to do. Okay, another great tactic, I think we talked about this, yeah, you put a kit out there by the harbors to also pick these up. If you know this is sitting on the ocean floor, set a timer for like 1.5 hours, and then go over to the harbors to retrieve these once they come back. So yeah, these are fantastic. I think you guys are going to have a ton of fun out there, not only playing Sea of Thieves and Rust, but also boarding things like cargo ship or oil. Also, actually, let me throw this in here real fast. Oil rig itself, you cannot spawn when you're super close to the oil rig. I think you have to be about 2 squares or 1.5 squares away from a monument. Otherwise, it's going to deny your ability to actually spawn when you're that close. So make sure the boat's just a little bit out, and you should be good to go. All right, so that's our Tugboat Quick Tips. We've got the secrets we found deep within the Sea Labs. If you want to check that out, it's already up on the end screen now, and hopefully we'll see you in the next live stream / video or on the custom server. All right, love you. Bye.